During his four-day tour of the Balkans, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said he's concerned by malign foreign interference, including by Russia, in the volatile region. There are widespread fears that Russia is trying to destabilize Bosnia and the rest of the region and is openly supporting the secessionist, pro-Russian Bosnian Serb leader Milorad Dodik, who has repeatedly called for the breakup of the country. Meanwhile, there is no consensus in Bosnia on joining NATO, as Dodik has for years been blocking Sarajevo's application for membership, which Russia also opposes. Stoltenberg also visited Kosovo, the former Serbian province that has been recognized as an independent state by the US and most of the West, but not by Serbia and its allies Russia and China. Stoltenberg said NATO will consider a more permanent increase in the number of peacekeeping troops in Kosovo.
We are concerned by secessionist and divisive rhetoric, as well as malign foreign interference, including from Russia.
We are now reviewing whether we should have a more permanent increase to ensure that this doesn't spiral out of control and creates a new violent conflict in Kosovo or in the wider region. So yes, we will do what is necessary. We are currently reviewing adjustments to our presence, and we have already implemented immediate increases of NATO presence in the region.
NATO's chief visit comes just a week after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned that Russia is planning to start a war in the Balkans to distract from the Ukraine conflict. Although he hasn't offered any evidence, Zelensky says they are getting information and that unless countries take precautions, there will be an explosion in the region.
Pay attention to the Balkans. Believe me, we get the information. Russia has a long plan. First, the Middle East, and the second distraction will be the Balkans. At least if the partners don't do anything now, then there will be such an explosion again. And again, it's not a new story. Russia will invest in ensuring that one Balkan country fights another.
Lots of reaction to that Zelensky's statement, so let's further discuss those claims. I'm joined now from College Station, Texas by Georgi Revishvili. He's a political analyst who specializes on Russian foreign policy, and by Yasmin Ahic. He's the Dean of the Faculty of Criminal Justice and Security at the University of Sarajevo. Great to have you both with us. Georgi, let me start with you. Does Zelensky know something about Russia's specific plan for the Balkans? If so, will he share that with his international partners?
President Zelensky mentioned the possibility of a conflict in the Balkans during the meeting with the African media, and he further added that Russia is vastly interested to, quote unquote, to shake up situation in Moldova and undermine the current European government there, and also create crisis in African countries. So I'm pretty sure that Ukrainians have some intelligence. As Jens Stoltenberg also emphasized on a possibility of Russian interference in the Balkans during his visit in Sarajevo 2 days ago. And I'm pretty sure that Kiev has open communications with the Western allies and will share if they have something more specific about situation in the Balkans. But the bottom line here is that Russia is planning to create several hotspots to force Western countries to divert their attention to emerging events and to somehow disrupt and delay the Western military and humanitarian aid and financial aid to Ukraine. That's their high priority on the list.
Yasmin, are these hotspots already created? As we can see in Bosnia, lots of talk by Bosnian Serb leader Milorad Dodik about the secession. Then we've seen that unrest in northern Kosovo. Many blame Russian influence to that. Does this mean that any increasing violence in the region may lead to a Ukraine-like scenario, according to Zelensky?
I have to say that I suppose that President Zelensky was referring to that end of September Serbian terrorist attack at northern Kosovo. And taking that into the consideration, we have to say that General Secretary Jens Stoltenberg was precisely in the first sentence was stating that separatism in Bosnia, claimed separatism in Bosnia and Russian hostile hybrid warfare in Bosnia are the two key elements that needs to be decreased by the politicians in Bosnia and Herzegovina and the region. And that's why it's very important that Bosnia and Sarajevo was a first station for that kind of really clear and precise statement. So all the other regional actors could know and could see what the NATO alliance asks from the partners in the region.
Georgi, is the rising Russian influence the reason that we are seeing more diplomatic activity by the Western leaders from the EU and NATO specifically in the Balkans as well? And can Moscow even afford to spend time or money to interfere in the Balkans, for example, while fighting in Ukraine?
For sure, there's one reason why Western countries, including NATO and EU member states, are engaging actively with the Balkan counterparts to somehow, mitigate the risks that stems from Russia. Well, of course, the full-scale invasion of Ukraine crippled Russian ability and capability at some degree. However, Russia still has sufficient resources to conduct malign influence operations and interfere in other countries, including the Balkans. Russia maintains a large network of intelligence officers. It also uses money to bribe, politicians. It also uses diaspora, oligarchs, and organized crime groups to influence the domestic and foreign policy of target countries. So yes, the answer is yes. Russia still, unfortunately, has enough resources to try to exert its influence in other countries, including the Balkans.
Yasmin, I want to focus on Bosnia with you. As Bosnia is in a specific position, as you mentioned, NATO's chief's first visit to Bosnia, and this was the first country that he visited during his tour to the Balkans, sending a strong message that NATO will remain in Bosnia and protect its sovereignty. But on the other hand, even inside Bosnia, we don't have a consensus on NATO, as Bosnian Serb leader does not allow Bosnia or will continue to oppose Bosnia's NATO membership. So how can Bosnia then protect itself in the future?
It is very important to mention that UN Council has exceeded the European force mandate Althea for Bosnia, and we saw the increase of armed forces in Bosnia and Herzegovina together with coordination of headquarters of NATO in Sarajevo. So that's something that is politically really very sensitive, and that's why the first station, Bosnia and Herzegovina, is really important, because that public sphere mentioning that president of Bosnian entity of Republika Srpska talking and going on the legs of President Putin is really something that concerns. So I don't see the capabilities and possibilities for some kind of security threats or incidents on a larger scale. But that's why I was also mentioning that hostile Russia, hybrid warfare entering in the Western Balkans. We should emphasize also that in Serbia on 17 December there will be another elections for another mandate, and raising the Kosovo issues in Serbia will definitely be really actual. So that's why I think that this round trip of General Secretary from the Sarajevo, Kosovo, Belgrade, and today to Macedonia, together already members of NATO, Albania, Macedonia, and Montenegro, is very important in this time period.
Right. You've mentioned Stoltenberg's visit to Serbia. Georgi, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić is perceived as one of Russia's Putin main allies besides Dodik in the Balkans. But NATO's chief said he's ready to preserve peace and welcomes the coordination between Serbia and KFOR as well. Let's listen together what was Vučić's response to that.
Nije bilo potrebe da osigurava There was no need to ensure peace and security for anyone else, except for the Serbs. Only Serbs are threatened there, and only Serbs are being attacked. Albanians have never been attacked, only Serbs. Or to be even more specific, no one but Serbs has been attacked since 2001, 2004, especially after 2008, and specifically since Albin Kurti came to power.
We didn't see, Georgi, a lot of agreements during that presser between Stoltenberg and Vucic. Stoltenberg also warned Russia of building its army at the borders with Kosovo. Vucic reacted that it's their own internal thing, what to do. What is this telling us about possible Serbia's relations with Russia in the future?
I mean, we've seen that President Vucic has close ties with Putin and has amicable relations. So foreign policy of Serbia is widely aligned with the Russians. So in the presumable future, I assume that it will remain so, and Russians will try to do to maintain close ties with Serbians, also with the Dodik in Bosnia, and also find other politicians to somehow expand their influence in the region and create situations that favors Moscow's foreign policy objectives, that is somehow deter and undermine the Western ties and Western engagement in the region, not only in Balkans but in Eastern Europe, in Africa, and elsewhere in the world. So yeah.
Yasmin, and one last question for you. Having in mind the rising Russian influence we are seeing in Republika Srpska and Serbia, did we hear from Stoltenberg any plans that Bosnia or Kosovo speed up their NATO membership in the near future in order for the West and NATO and the alliance maintain their influence in the Balkans?
Yeah, definitely. That was the third element on the press conference that General Secretary of NATO had with our President of Council of Ministers, taking into consideration 12 projects that NATO will support and finance in 2024. The 9 of them are in a capability of around 43 million euros to raise up the capability of our armed forces, and also the three projects for the Ministry of Security, emphasizing this cyber defense capabilities of Bosnia and Herzegovina in this hybrid warfare and this hostile influence that we mentioned of Russia on Bosnian entity Republika Srpska, and also to the Serbia. So full support for the Bosnian structures in Ministry of Defense and also in other security structures in 2024.
Right, and Georgi, one last question for you to conclude this panel. What is Russia's endgame in the Balkans?
So again, everything ties back with Ukraine, I would say, these days. Russia aims to create multiple pressure points for the West and bets the crisis in other parts of the world, including in the Balkans, will somehow disrupt and delay Western aid to Ukraine. Putin sees Western support for Kiev as major obstacle for achieving goals for his brutal and unjustified war against Ukraine. So he believes that if Western support somehow fades, Ukraine will be forced to surrender. So Russian operations are multi-layered and multi-phased, and all, at the end of the day, ties with Ukraine. So they are trying to somehow, create this hotspot, as we already mentioned, to distract the West and somehow undermine the Western robust support to Ukraine, to somehow then, force Kiev to cede territories or exert their will on them.
Georgi, Yasmin, thank you both for being our guests on Across the Balkans. I appreciate it. And before saying goodbye, something interesting. A replica of one of the prominent symbols of the Bosnian capital, Sarajevo, has been installed in the Chinese city of Tianjin. Sarajevo's Sebilj is an Ottoman-style wooden fountain built in the center of Sarajevo in 1753. And according to a local legend, visitors who drink water from the Sebilj will return to Sarajevo someday. Its replica now also stands in Tianjin as part of the international cooperation and cultural bond between the two cities that has lasted more than 4 decades. Okay, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. From me and the whole team here in Istanbul, bye-bye for now.